हेलो।
ये देखो एक बीच ठीक है ना। ये अभी मैंने ये एसएल बुक का रेट लिखा तो ये अपना एसएल जीएसटी करके कुछ लोग जीएसटी तो मैंने निकाली विदाउट जीएसटी।
Hi, Mansoorji, Rohit Jain.
Hi, Mr. Jain. This is Rohit.
Hi, Rohit.
Mansoor, who is this Mr. Gopal Mundra?
He's my colleague. He's from my
Okay,
office.
fine.
Hi, Mr. Mansoor.
Hi, Mr. Gopal. There's a lot of background noise behind you. I think you are on road.
No. Maybe something.
But you can keep on mute, Gopal, while.
Yes. Just one thing. Can you just allow me to, upload this PPT?
Yeah, absolutely. Mansoor, you can just check on that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, just a second. Yeah, Gopalji, just try to share the screen.
Okay, okay. Oh, it is yet disabled.
I can't see the screen, Mansoor.
Hi, Mr. Mansoor. This is disabled now. Has not been enabled.
Yeah, try it once now. I have just activated it again.
Okay.
So I get 564, 65. I'll get a PDF and very short.
Yes, we can see it now, Gopalji.
To the first slide, slideshow first slide.
Yeah, it's very much visible now.
Perfect.
Mansoor, let me know when we should start.
Yeah, sure. Just few minutes. Few moments.
ये different expert PhD expert है नहीं expert expert
Rohit, I believe we can start now.
No problem.
We're all good to go.
Okay, great. Wait, am I audible, Mansoor? It's fine.
Yeah. Yes, Rohit.
Okay. So, first of all, a very good morning to all of you who have joined, and I believe that there are a lot more people who are yet to join. We have a confirmation of a good odd number of 100, more than 100 people. So, I'm sure that people will join, but we are beginning on time, a little bit late on time. So, today, what I have with me is a topic which is of an immense potential and holds a lot of potential, because while you all are aware that the government is going to scrap MEIS as one of the script and is bringing RODTEP in picture. Now, how is it going to benefit the entire industry as far as the exports are concerned? The current incentive in MEIS was lying from a range of 2% to 5%, but the larger part of the industry, also that too divided into the bracketed category of A, B, C, based on the country. But having RODTEP in place or coming in place, what will be the new modalities and what will be the calculation of the taxes which can make you gain either at that particular point of situation where you are gaining right now, let's say to the tune of 2.5%, or you may incur a larger benefit of the duty while calculating all the local taxes which are either levied at a central or at a state level. And in order to deliberate more on that and to understand the practice or the calculation, what exactly is going to get built inside the system of the formats of the RODTEP, we have today with us Mr. Rohit Jain, who is a partner in the tax practice of ELP, focusing on indirect and direct taxes, transfer pricing, and custom laws. To give you a brief of Mr. Jain, he is a law graduate from University of Mumbai and a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. His expertise prior to the introduction of GST covered customs, excise, service tax, central sales tax, VAT, FTP, so whatnot, all those sorts of tax he has covered, and it forms into his kitty of experience. He has been with the firm since inception and over a decade of experience in handling the matters pertaining to tax, both advisory as well as on the litigation part of it. He has advised almost all the Fortune 500 companies and Indian conglomerates in the sector of financial services, manufacturing, telecommunication, oil and gas, petroleum, infrastructure, and the list is long, for ensuring this, I would say, the transition of the sales tax to the vast regime, then the new taxation, that is the GST regime, the old taxation to the new GST regime. So all those transitions he has helped the companies to sail through. Recently, Mr. Jain has been ranked as an elite practitioner by Asia Law Profile 2020 and has been recognized for his expertise in tax by Chamber of Asia Pacific. He is also recommended by the Tax Director's Handbook and has also featured in World Transfer Pricing Guide. He has also been recognized as a benchmark leading lawyer's guide as the dispute resolution star of tax so far, and has featured in International Tax Review's Tax Controversy Leaders Guide and Indirect Tax Leaders Guide. With that huge profile and having so much to his accolade, I am sure that with his expertise, we are going to learn much more about what is on the anvil to the RODTEP. Now, without taking much of your time, I just invite Mr. Jain to enlighten us with the new services and the calculation which we intend to do in the RODTEP. Mr. Jain, please.
Thank you, Rohit, and thank you for the elaborate introduction, and good morning to all. And that we can see that even if it's been Sunday, we could see so many participants joining. Of course, work from home, every day is working day or every day is holiday. Keep that aside and let's talk about something which is very important for the sector, for the industry. And we have been working on for various associations to help them to really transit from the MEIS scheme to a RoDTEP scheme. So let's get on to the presentation. What we have done is put together the slide pack of next 25-30 minutes. We will take you through all the aspects of this RoDTEP scheme and how this is going to operate and what are the things expected from our side at this point in time. And thereafter, we will keep it open for question and answer, and that we can take you, answer whatever is your queries that you may have. Now with this, let's start with first that export incentives for auto components or for rubber industry or for various other sectors. The drawback currently which is claimed is 2%, whereas MEIS scheme is either 2% or 3%, which was there up to September 20. September 20 to December 20, this has been capped at INR 2 crores, which is per IC code. And post January 21, we will get into a scheme called RoDTEP, and the drawback will continue as is. Now, when we talk about drawback will continue as is, that means that why the drawback effectively granted by the government is effectively to offset all the import duties that we pay on import of raw material components and all of these schemes. So they don't want to export taxes, and therefore drawback will continue as an import duty offsetting or import duty cost neutralization purpose. But MEIS has been granted to incentivize the export. And it has been said that MEIS is for the purpose of infrastructural undevelopment, non-development to that extent, and that's why the purpose of MEIS has been granted. So first thing that we should really keep in mind now, that import duties will not be part of consideration when we calculate the rate for the road tape. Import duties, be it basic customs duty, be it anti-dumping duty, be it safeguard duties, be it CWC that we all pay, will not be part of road tape scheme because that is been given neutralization by a drawback scheme. But MEIS will get replaced by road tape. And the first question which was put to us, that MEIS was working fine, why are we really doing this change? And let me just bring it a historic or some of the developments at a WTO, where MEIS has been held to be prohibited export subsidy by WTO. That means in terms of our WTO commitment that we have, which is ASCM agreement that we had signed, under which it has been considered as a prohibited export subsidy, no member of a WTO can grant some incentive which is based upon export. And therefore, it required to be effectively considered as a prohibited. But at the same time, there is a complete policy at a WTO that the member country can export the goods and cannot have an export of taxes. What does it mean? That in the process of manufacture of goods which are exported outside India, if it involves a lot of other tax elements in this, then you can have a scheme which will remit those taxes, refund those taxes. That means you can export the goods but not necessarily export the taxes. MEIS was not purposely been drafted in such a manner, and therefore it has got challenged and it got stuck down at a WTO. Now therefore government is coming up with a new scheme, which is what we call it a road tape scheme, by which they will calculate how much is the actual tax burden involved in the export of product, which is what we call it a remission of duties and taxes involved in an export product. And based on that, we will then effectively consider in terms of the remission of those taxes when the products gets exported outside India. So therefore, clearly we have a mandate from WTO, while that order has been appealed and it is pending, but we all know that this was challenged by USA and we didn't want to have any discussion qua the USA. We were looking at a lot of trade at USA. Therefore, India has taken it step forward and made it very clear that 1st January 2021 onwards, there will be no MEIS scheme. It would be only a road tape scheme for all the products which are exported outside India. Now, what is the action taken by the government? Last year, they have got all the stuff done. Early this year in March, they have effectively got the cabinet approval also. In the most important step they have taken in this direction in the August 2020, where they have formed the 3-member road tape committee in terms of recommending the sailing rates. It is of course chaired by Mr. Pillai, who is senior bureaucrats, Home Secretary, ex-Home Secretary, ex-Commerce Secretary. We have other revenue department people, Mr. Parande, Mr. Gautam Ray, all the senior people understand tax very well. So this is the first thing, which is in August 2020, they have effectively formed the committee. In September 2020, they have of course in August itself circulated the formats and asked us to submit the details of R1, R2, R3 forms, which is meant for providing the details of the actual taxes involved in an export product. And those details were supposed to be submitted by end of this month, which is by 30th September. But for some industries are still not prepared and they could accept these details by 5th or outer limit by 10th of October. Thereafter, once the details will be submitted, committee will submit their recommended report to the ministry in terms of suggesting the ceiling rate. And then MOF, MOC jointly will thereafter notify the road tape rate, which will be effective from 1st of January 2021. Now, we have been representing various sectors, okay, in terms of these initiatives. August 10th, go back to Gopal earlier slide, August 10th, when they have formed the committee, they have initially met with all the Export Promotion Council. And thereafter, they started meeting the association. The first meeting they had on 24th of August, we were representing steel and aluminium, both the associations, where they have given a lot of thoughts that they want to really have the details. Thereafter, we had a meeting based on pharma sector. We had a meeting based on auto sector, CM people. We had a meeting on based on some FMCG sector. And with this interaction for last 4 weeks to 6 weeks, lot of points got cleared with the committee. Lot of discussions we had with them, how one should really look at it, the tax element of it. Some of the points that we want to bring it to your notice in today's presentation first, that what are the recent experience that we have, go down now, in terms of the recent interaction based on the committee interactions. First one, that committee is looking at an actual data to be submitted at the earliest and to be duly supported by the documentary evidence. So this is very important. Committee does not want something high level data on the basis of hypothesis, and they don't want that sort of a data. They want an actual data to be submitted at the earliest. Second important point, road tape will be decided based on the HS code. So we have an 8-digit HS code of a product, and it will be decided based on those HS codes. Third, rate will be proposed by averaging the data submitted by various exporters. So for rubber products, there are various exporters. All of you are exporting the products outside India. So depending upon the HS code that we use, and for the same HS code, if there are multiple exporters and submitting the data, they will average out the total, what is the average rate? Somebody says 3%, somebody says 2%, somebody says 4%. They will average out and they decide the rate or recommend the rate. The most important is the last point there, where they have made it clear that absence of data may result in a minimum rate, which is could be 0.5% to 0.75% based on an available information. So if you don't submit the data on timely basis with the proper supportings, we will consider that there is not a much of an inbuilt taxes involved in the export of this product, and we will suggest 0.5 to 0.75 as a blended rate for export of that very product or for that sector. And this is what based on available information that we have. We believe that this is a unique opportunity for auto, because we supply to auto components or the rubber components or rubber products that we manufacture. We are a unique position that if you could compile the details properly and submit the information, we could really get a good rate. Just for your information, when we have worked out the data for steel, aluminium sector and other pharma sectors and auto sectors, we are actually pitching a rate as high as 5%, in some cases 7%, in some cases 8%. It is very clear, therefore, that because they have that much of inbuilt tax element, they would get benefit, and because we could not submit the data, we will become a loser of this. And therefore, very important that we all work together on an immediate basis so that the data gets compiled and we submit that data. Now comes to the most important aspect here, that what are the taxes which have actually remained into the system post introduction of GST? Because the first question been asked, the import duties are out. Everything that I pay GST is available to me as a credit. So what has actually remained in the system which needs to be considered for the purpose of road tape? We will give you one example here. We already have implemented in our country a scheme called Rosatel, which is for rebate of state taxes and central levies for textile products. And this is a statutory definition under that scheme, and we are replicating the same scheme even for road tape. And let's read this definition. We don't want to make it very technical, but read this carefully. It says, rebate of state taxes and levies shall be understood to comprise of VAT on fuel used in transportation, captive power, farm sector, mandi tax, electricity duty on export documents, embedded SGST paid on inputs such as pesticides, fertilizers used in the production of raw cotton, purchase from unregistered dealer, coal used in production of electricity inputs for transport sector. Let me take the fourth line item there. embedded SGST paid on inputs such as pesticides and fertilizers for production of a raw cotton. Now let's understand that when the pesticides and fertilizers are used by the farmers to produce the raw cotton, that raw cotton then is supplied to ginning pressing guys to do the processing of cotton. They in turn supply that to the yarn manufacturers guys, they manufacture yarn. From yarn manufacturer guys, it goes to fabric manufacturer guys, they manufacture fabric. From fabric, it goes to ultimately to the ready-made garments manufacturer guys, they manufacture ready-made garments. So either fabric or ready-made garments would actually get exported from India. But when they have considered the Rosatel rate for the purpose of fabric or ready-made garments, they have actually considered rate which is applicable for the GST paid on fertilizers and pesticides, which is not entitled for a credit to the farmers. And that also tax is getting inbuilt in the product which is ultimately getting exported. What does it mean? That means that you don't need to look at it, the taxes that you yourself as a company are paying or is paying. In fact, you will have to look at it right from the entire supply chain, that which are the taxes which are getting paid, which are ultimately forming part of a product which I am manufacturing, which are exported outside India. So very important for us to keep that perspective in mind and then determine which could be those taxes which are relevant, and therefore not necessary that the taxes which are directly paid by me as a company, but it could also be paid in the entire supply chain. Now, with this understanding in mind and with the recent data that we have prepared for various sectors, today we have prepared for more than 140 companies' data and almost on the verge of submitting those information. And we could calculate the lot of rates or the inbuilt taxes which could be covered in various products, including our rubber industry. We will have all of these taxes being paid. Now let me take up all of this for your own understanding and so that gives some perspective to you. First would be the taxes which are directly borne by the company. And the second would be taxes which are indirectly borne by the company. So let's take first the taxes which are directly borne by the company. So let me take it on the left side first. Electricity duty or excise duty and VAT on fuel. So which is very simple, that I buy electricity from the electricity boards, I get an electricity invoice, and on that there is an electricity duty paid, which is also a tax, which is not available as a credit. So that's one element. I also buy fuel for my own DG set, and I buy fuel for some processing. All of this fuel that I buy, on that we pay excise duty and VAT, and that fuel is also an inbuilt tax component, which is what we need to consider. So that's a first line item, directly tax borne, very easy to calculate. Electricity duty actually paid and excise duty and VAT paid on fuel. And in terms of fuel, you will of course tell us, no, I don't know, I buy per liter price and I get a fuel cost. We have done the working and I will explain you how one should calculate the inbuilt tax into of a fuel element if we have bought directly for our own DG set. The second one is interesting, which is GST on building. Now, when we have constructed a building, we claim depreciation every year. Without the factory building, I cannot manufacture the product. In a building, also there is a tax element involved. Prior to GST, if you have constructed, then we had paid that time excise duty and VAT, which was much higher, which was also not available as a credit. And if you would have constructed in the GST regime, GST paid on a construction of a building is also not available as a credit, and we have convinced the committee that I consider the depreciation of this year which I have claimed, 18% is the GST element in that, that is also gone and inbuilt taxes in my export product. So GST on a building. Third, stamp duty, property tax and other charges. So we also pay a lot of stamp duty. We also pay a lot of taxes which are municipal tax, panchayat tax. All of these taxes are also levies and taxes which are getting indirectly getting formed part of an export product. That's a third tax element. Fourth, there are restricted GST ITC. So we have companies where we have employees on which all the taxes, all the GST paid for employee related expenses, such as insurance, such as transportation, all of these are not available as a credit, or a canteen, rent a cab, all of this, how much we have paid, will also form part of a inbuilt tax element. We also have CSR expenses. If you are listed entity, we pay CSR, which is also not available as a credit in bill tax. That also forms part of a restricted GST. So what we need to do is to calculate all the restricted GST items and calculate how much is the GST that I have paid, and that then allocate proportionately qua the export product. Then we have some statutory levies, which is for the peculiar industry related purposes. If you operate an industry, we need to pay some factory charges, we need to pay some other statutory levies for taking some registration for different bodies. All of these also are the statutory levies that we pay, which are directly borne by us as a company, will also be considered as part of the taxes and levies that we have incurred. So this is in terms of the taxes which are directly borne by us. Now come to the right side, which is the taxes which are indirectly borne by us, and very important because this is something plays a very critical role in deciding the tax. Now the first item there is the excise duty VAT on fuel and consumables involved in a freight. Now we have a lot of inward freight and outward freight. Outward freight we ourselves incur when we export the product, so we know how much freight we have incurred. When it comes to inward freight, because it is most of the cases get on a paid basis and not a to pay basis, we don't know how much freight that supplier has paid. We will have to calculate estimate based on where the supplier is located. We have prepared some formula how one should calculate the inward freight component. And once we have a freight component, inward and outward freight, 45 to 50% of that freight component is considered as a fuel in that, and 47.18% of an excise duty and VAT rate is considered as a tax component on that fuel. So the way to calculate is first calculate the inward freight and outward freight, apply that by 45 to 50%, that gives you the fuel component. On that, apply rate between 47.18% or a 43.57% and calculate the inbuilt tax component involved in that fuel. And that's very important because we incur such a huge transportation cost, which is also has a fuel element in that, which is effectively getting inbuilt in my product, which is exported outside India. The second line item, GST and cess on coal used for electricity generation. Very important again for this item. We buy electricity and we have already considered electricity duty on this particular aspect. But when we buy an electricity, on electricity also, we have done the study, we have obtained the report from Ministry of Power, wherein 0.802 metric ton of coal is used to generate 1 megawatt of electricity. 0.802 metric ton of coal at a 3,000 rupees an average rate into 5% is a GST component, and 400 rupees per metric ton is a compensation cess which is paid on generation of electricity. So how we can need to calculate all the electricity that we have consumed, how much of the kilowatt that we have consumed, that is shown on the invoices itself. Consider entire kilowatt, apply the formula of 0.802%, 802 metric ton of coal required to generate 1 megawatt of electricity. Apply 5% of GST and 400 rupees of a metric ton as a compensation cess, which has gone into generation of electricity, and calculate the inbuilt tax involved in the electricity. Third element, which is very important here, is the inbuilt taxes in raw materials, which is steels and metals. Now we of course buy, for us, a lot of raw materials. For us, either it is metal or either it could be polymer. When we talk about rubbers, there are a lot of polymers, there are a lot of chemicals that we buy to manufacture our products. Now polymer chemicals also has a lot of inbuilt tax element in that. Average inbuilt tax element for polymer, it is higher side, little 2.5 to 3%. But for chemicals, it is anywhere between 1.75 to 2.35% as an inbuilt tax element which is involved. So what we need to consider that calculate the total raw material that I have sourced and apply depending upon the what type of raw material that I have sourced, be it polymer, be it chemical, apply that percentage and consider as inbuilt tax element involved in that raw material which I have sourced, which is ultimately used in the export product outside India. So that's a third line item there. Fourth line item, again an interesting line item, which is tax inbuilt in metals used as a plant and machinery. We know that for manufacture of rubber products, we use a lot of molds. Now when we use the molds, now those molds are also made up of metal. And to manufacture those molds, the metal is also get inbuilt taxes. As we have seen for steel, aluminium, we are talking about 5%. For steel, we are talking about 7.25%. For aluminum, we are talking about 9.13% of an inbuilt tax element, which have gone into that particular manufacture of plant and machinery. So what we will calculate the depreciation on mold, apply that percentage if it is made up of steel largely, apply that percentage and calculate an inbuilt tax element, which has gone into manufacture of that product, which is ultimately exported outside India. Last item on this slide is a tax on immovable property and operation cost in a port charges. When I export the product outside India, we have a port charges that we pay, and then the port charges also, which is what the terminal handling charge, lot of electricity gets consumed, lot of fuel also gets consumed. But when they have constructed this immovable property, which is jetty, immovable property, buildings and everything, they also have a lot of GST paid on that, which is ultimately forming part of a port charges. So what we have gone on the basis of studying some port balance sheets, it is comes to in the range of 20 to 25% is this cost for the port operator. So whether it's in terms of electricity, whether it in terms of fuel, whether it in terms of depreciation of jetty, whether it's in terms of depreciation of a building, all of this cost put together would form in the range of 25% or so. And that also has an inbuilt element of tax of 18 to 20% is what we need to consider and apply when I consider the port charges. So if you look at it now in this perspective, you will find that all of these effectively you will have lot of inbuilt taxes which are gone in the manufacture of our own rubber products, which needs to be considered when we submit our data for the RoDTEP purpose. And that's where we need to really work upon very systematically for calculation of this data, which is ultimately getting exported outside India. Now, comes to how the methodology needs to be worked out. First of all, select the plant because we'll have to calculate this data plant wise, and thereafter start allocation of the cost either at an entity level cost, which is like employee related expenses, or a plant level cost or a product level cost. When we look at it, that entity level, plant level and a product level, all of these costs will get allocated and ultimately get applied for the purpose of export of a product outside India, so that we have effectively all the data being prepared as far as the inbuilt tax elements which are concerned. So this is something which you'll have to look at it and then prepare our R1, R2, R3 forms for the purpose of preparedness to calculate this data in terms of the analysis. And ultimately, whatever data we'll submit, that will be our RoDTEP rate, because taxes embedded in the cost of above, which are directly borne, indirectly borne, they are either entity level, they are at a plant level, or they are at a product level, will needs to be calculated when we submit the data and consider for the purpose of RoDTEP rate. Okay. What we believe we should be really looking at it. Apart from this, as an association, we also need to take it strongly that we are a good we are becoming uncompetitive now given China, what's happening. We manufacture in India, we subserve the Atmanirbhar Bharat, we employ so many people, we have significant employment generation and forex earning. We also have potential for expanding as a global footprint, and therefore it requires a higher incentive, if not higher, at least continue our MEIS rate for our product. And that is how strongly association needs to be representing quickly, because then only we will get an attention as far as this product and this export is concerned. We all know that committee, EEPC, MOF, MOC, all of these members of our association area, ECMA, whatever are the associations, will be relevant for the purpose of this entire driving this initiative. And all of this needs to be done at that level and effectively needs to be submitted as a data. Moving on to the next slide, where how one should be really working at it. Next slide, Gopal. Submission of data ideally should be end of September, latest by say 5th or 7th of October. By 10th of October, we will have to make a detailed submissions, representation, why our industry needs better attention, better details. 10th to 30th of October, there will be interaction with the committee. October, November, there will be interaction with other relevant ministries, which one needs to be really prepared for. And eventually in December, the notification will be out, which is what eventually we need to be preparing for under the RoadTap scheme. We, of course, at ELP have been assisting on end-to-end basis, arriving at the inbuilt tax cost, preparing the representation, and then government advocacy to eventually get a good rate in terms of all of this aspect, how one should be really looking at it. So that's all. I would stop it here. Now we have some time for question and answer sessions, and happy to then take questions from everybody, those who are on the call, and try and address to the extent possible, keeping in mind the interaction that we are having with the ministries. Yeah, Rohit, over to you or Mansoor.
All right, Mr. Jain, we have a couple of questions which are there in the question and answer session. So if you can answer those questions first, and then we will take up the questions from the participants further.
Okay, so hi Mansoor, since you are recording this, will you be sharing? That is, I think you need to decide. Are you recording this session?
Yes, we are recording this session.
You should have told me, but no problem. You could share that.
Okay.
Request you all to please post your questions here, okay? By when does each industry represent to the government the rate they desire? As I said already, it's already late in a day, but sooner we do it, latest by 10th of October, we should submit this information so that we get a clarity. Is this be generalized for the rubber industry, or will vary from company to company, or each company need to present its own? Lot of companies needs to present, but it will be based on the HS code. It will not vary from company to company. It will be based on an HS code, but ideally one should be submitting, most of the companies need to submit so that it could cover at least 50-60% of an export of that product outside India. And therefore then only committee will consider that as a representative data, as opposed to only, some of them you submit and they will say, okay, how do I decide the rate based on that? Whether the RoadTap scheme will have to be a brand rate mechanism? No, it won't be brand rate. It is effectively brand rate type of a position, but ultimately it is like an all industry rate where this is a percentage for this HS code, which will be available for you as when you export this outside India. Of course, the sharing this presentation, can we have all assumptions taken for calculations? Yes, there could be some assumptions, not an assumptions which are hypothetical. These assumptions have been prepared based on industry data, and these are all one needs to consider while calculating the inbuilt tax component and then prepare the data. It cannot be just hypothetical assumptions which matter. Would you be sharing? That's okay. Rubber industry has multiple HS codes depending on the application. In that case, will the association company propose multiple rates for RoadTap? Answer is yes, because depending upon the HS code, there will be multiple HS code rates which will be applicable, which is what one needs to be really looking at it. High RoadTap can be same MEIS duty script. Answer is no. It will be all depend upon how much are the inbuilt taxes. It would definitely not be the same. Some industry will get higher, some industry will get lower. Coincidentally, some industry may fall into a same bracket, but largely the objective is that it is not going to be the same as an MEIS duty script rate. We use natural rubber which is grown by rubber farmers. Do you also calculate tax on? Of course, yes. All the farming, all the taxes which we pay there will get calculated even in this case as well, all of the natural rubber that we source, we will have to consider in terms of how this will get calculated. Road tape will be in a cash or a script. As of now, it has been script as a discussion point, which is also sellable in the market, but they are evaluating can it be in a cash as well. But that is still not finalized. It will be decided soon. The rates shared in the presentation, are they readily available? They are not readily available. These are all based on lot of data, research, analysis. This has got been prepared. These are not readily available data, but because of our experience of working on this for last few months, we could generate this data available and backed up with some reports. The rate shared in this presentation, okay, that will it be based on 8-digit code? Yes, it is based on 8 digits code. Is there any assistance available for companies to work out the taxes which are costs? Of course, yes. Either you yourself can work out, or otherwise we at ELP have prepared a simplified format to collate that information. We can, once we have an engagement, we can share those formats, collate that, and based on that information submission, we can work out on a backward basis how much are the taxes involved in that, and then calculate the inbuilt tax element in this. Where will we will submit our data. So once the data is prepared, you will have to submit one to the association. Association in turn submit to the committee. One copy you'll have to give it to us, ELP. ELP in turn will submit to the committee. So that committee considers this data in terms of the preparation. Which format we will provide the data? We will have to provide the format of R1, R2, R3. And that R1, R2, R3, which is already prescribed by the committee, is what we will use for submission of data, but there will be a lot of backup working and documentation, which will also go beyond R1, R2, R3 for the purpose of committee to understand in terms of how that data actually being prepared. So these are all questions, Mansoor, which I could see on the screen. Hope there are.
So yes, Mr. Jain. So I think it was fairly answered, and there was these are the smaller questions which I think the people have touched upon rather than going into the nitty-gritties of the detail. I'm sure that larger part of the audience have not seen the R1, R2, R3 at this stage.
Okay.
Because there are much larger deliberations which require to be done into a R1, R2, and R3. As you rightly mentioned, that there are a lot of information in terms of HS codes, in terms of the prices, and in terms of the total calculation of the RODTEP claim as per the HS code wise. So one question which I have from you is that since there will be a lot of HS codes which are there, so for every code we have to develop basis on all the prices and all the expenses which I'm incurring in terms of duty and taxes. All those have to be combined together, and a percentage has to be reached upon.
That's right. What happens, but our experience suggests each company manufactures 5 to 7 HS code max. Okay.
Right.
Therefore, for that company, it will be 4 or 5 HS codes. So they will have to consider the factory, apply factory-wise data, and calculate. Okay, in this factory we manufacture all these 5 HS code. What are the raw materials goes in that? And allocate some of the entity level expenses to the factory level expenses to the product, and product level expenses to that export product. And then only we will be able to calculate the exact rate for the road tape.
Right. I would also take this opportunity to inform the participants, if they directly want to ask some question with Mr. Jain, they can raise their hand, and Mansoor probably will unmute them. We can have a 5 or 7 minutes window to do that.
There are a few questions which have been put it on the chat again. So data taken from vendor and transporter do not have supporting. Is this okay? Or that should be okay. As long as we have inward transportation cost, doesn't matter. As a 50% of that into 47.18% is a tax component. Hi, can we make a representation to allow road tape script or credit to be ledger to be used for payment of GST? This will help make in India Atmanirbhar, as those exporters may not have import duties. So I can tell you that it is not necessary that you need to use yourself. The way the scheme has been looked at it, like an MEIS, you can sell that in the market also. And there is a possibility that eventually they may also allow for the payment of GST. But that is still a work in progress. That is still a long way to go. But in the first phase, they are looking at in the form of script or a cash payment directly. So let's see how they come back. If they come back with the script, one may have an opportunity to make a representation to allow that for the purpose of payment of other taxes. But that's the next phase, not in the first phase. Yeah.
Perfect. So I think this was nobody else has posted anything, and neither anybody has raised their hand to ask any question. So what I would suggest is that certainly this was a beneficial thing which you have enlightened us with, and through the presentation that has been carried upon. Now, one thing which is very crucial is the time which we have been granted with, because the MEIS is going to get away. And I would say the mid of October is the only time when the committee can actually go on finalizing the things. And basis that, there will be the implementation mode will go on. And because of a lot of things which are coming into place, and the budget itself of 2021 will be there. So the committee will be really tied up. There are various kind of things which will be going forward, because all that matters is the duties and taxes. And I am sure that Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman is going to make a mention of this entire thing into his budget itself in the upcoming budget as well. So it will be a really fast thing where the government and the committees will be working upon. And we certainly would look forward to availing your services as well, Mr. Jan, in the going forward regime. And once before that, I would say, and I would request all my members to just go on and look after the format, which is the R1, R2, and R3. The government has already given a set of instruction. How do you need to fill it, along with the duty, along with the quantity of the kilos, or whatever the quantity QCM or UQU has been given by the government. And basis that, you can draw a reference and can do your internal work, that what are those HS codes, what are the prices, what are the duties, starting from the entire value chain of the ecosystem of your manufacturing, as Mr. Jan has mentioned. All those can be built upon. A first draft can be prepared, and then we can take an expert service like Mr. Jan, who can then help us in going and growing the thing forward and putting it forward before the committee and the government largely.
Okay, I think only want to make one mention. As you rightly said, time is an essence. And I think before, if you would like us to work with you, we would be happy to support. But instead of then you actually, first doing the job and then we are scrapping and again redoing. If you want us to work, we can circulate the easy formats so that it can be easily prepared. You don't need to break a lot of heads in terms of how do we really prepare and the aspects of that. But that's subject to if you want us to work on for some of the companies here. So thank you once again for this opportunity, and we'll wait to hear from you, and hope that we as rubber industry get considered attention from the ministry and the committee, and we'll get a better rate for our products which are exported outside India.
Sure.
Okay.
This is so kind of you. We'll certainly explore the other upcoming working opportunities with ELP, and we'll keep you posted on that, as well as our members too on that part. Thank you very much, sir, for being a part of us today and enlightening us with your presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Gopal.